Hello and welcome to Talking Wrestling with Pondwater Dave. I am Pondwater Dave, and with us tonight, as always, is the First Lady of the Arn Anderson Fan Club, Miss Amy Vaughn. And Justin's not with us tonight because he's out doing basketball things. But jumping in to actually talk current wrestling with us is half of the A and the T&A Top Ten Podcast is Mr. Andrew Hermes. Andrew,
What's
welcome.
up, guys?
Thank you for joining us tonight. We're actually going to talk wrestling.
We got a minute into this, and you're already wrong about something.
What's that?
It's that awful Justin Davis. That is his name. That awful Justin Davis. Capital A, capital W, capital F, capital U, capital L. Awful Justin Davis. And that might be a shirt coming to jumpinthepod.com.
Let me write that down. The awful
Justin Davis.
The awful Justin Davis. I like it.
I tell him that every chance I get just to see the look on his face.
Well, before we talk wrestling, there's been I guess, a defining moment in my lifetime, a catastrophic moment, an epiphany, if you will. And it actually started a couple weeks ago when the Dallas Cowboys played the Detroit Lions.
My God.
And the Cowboys.
The Detroit Lions?
Yes. Detroit Lions.
Yes. Okay. My bad. I'm so sorry.
Not the playoffs yet, Amy, but you're there.
I'm sorry.
It was just a normal game, and actually Detroit didn't have anything to lose. They'd already clinched their spot, and they couldn't do any better or any worse. I mean, it didn't matter if they won or lost this game. And the Cowboys had the game in hand, and there wasn't hardly any time left, and Detroit got the ball, and immediately one of the best defenses for the season let Detroit just march right down the field in hardly no time and score a touchdown. And the coach, not having anything to lose, instead of going for 1 point and tying the game and taking it to overtime, he decided we're going to go for 2 and win the game. And yeah, you got to respect that. But he didn't have anything to lose, so why not? So, they went for it and got it, and there was a penalty. I think they had 2 attempts at it, but they got screwed because the referee screwed them. I mean, Detroit deserved to win the game. The Cowboys deserved to lose the game, but Cowboys, I don't know how they got the call because Cowboys don't normally get the calls. But what I'm saying is I told my wife at that time when they were driving down the field to tie the game or to win the game, whatever, I said, this pisses me off. I'm done. They're gonna go to the playoffs. Big fat fucking hairy deal. Excuse me. I wasn't going to say that word this year that much.
There's a lady present.
Yeah, who's never said that word in her life.
She's off camera and she hears it all the time.
We were talking about Amy. But
who included that word in her notes.
And promo.
Yes.
The
So
infamous promo. Go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
anyway, I
Promo
digress.
needs to die.
And I tell my wife, I said, they're going to go to the playoffs. They're going to lose in the first round. And I'm done. I'm just done. Because they broke me. I don't care anymore. I mean, I'm fixing to be 58 years old. And all I know is Dallas Cowboys. And the first 30 years were great because we won 5 Super Bowls.
Mm-hmm.
Went to several more. I mean, went to more than that. But I'm just, just after the last 27 years of just not, I'm spoiled. And I should have the attitude that we got 5 Super Bowls. And there's not very many teams, other than Pittsburgh Steelers and San Francisco 49ers and the New England Patriots that can say that. There's some teams that don't even have one. I mean, the Detroit Lions just won their second playoff game. I mean, up until this last weekend, John F. Kennedy had only missed one Detroit Lions playoff win. So, I mean, I should, count my blessings. But I can't count my blessings because the Dallas Cowboys are owned by a buffoon named Jerry Jones. He's a buffoon. And, I mean, it's been a hard relationship. I feel like that this relationship's coming to an end, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. I had the same relationship with the Texas Rangers, and the Texas Rangers would make the playoffs, and I tell my daughter, she'd get real excited. I said, they'll break your heart. I tell one of friends from wrestling, Kyle Davis, I'd say, and he's a big fan, they'll break your heart. I'd tweet it. I'd post it on Facebook. Hey, calm down, y'all. They'll break your heart. And this year they actually got to the World Series and won it. And I was happy for them. But I fully well expected that they weren't going to do it. And I was no longer in a position where they could break my heart because my give a damn was busted. And that's where the Dallas Cowboys have me right now. There we go.
Oh.
So now there's an ongoing search for a new team for me to be a fan of.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's go over the NFC. There's the NFC East. We have the New York Football Giants. We have the Philadelphia Eagles. And we have the Washington, whatever the hell they're calling themselves.
And since they're in the same division as the Cowboys, that's a non-starter for all three.
Well, I mean, just because I'm mad at the Cowboys and I'm changing does not eliminate the level of hate that I have for other teams.
Correct.
I mean, that's just not going away. So, I mean, when you look at the New York Football Giants, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Washington, what the hell are they?
Commanders.
They're going to be the Redskins forever to me.
They're still the Commanders, but I call them the Redskins.
The Commanders is what they are. I mean, that's
But they are the Commanders. That's the name of the team. Commanders.
So the Washington No Nuts, because even the tribe that the logo was after wants them to be the Redskins again. I mean, the only people that weren't pissed about them being the Redskins were the actual Redskins. So, but what I'm saying is, I would rather slide down a 50-foot razor blade into a bucket of alcohol than cheer for any of those teams.
Oh, that hurts.
So then,
bye-bye NFC East. We got it.
So now let's look at we got the Chicago Bears.
The Central, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with Chicago Bears.
I
like Chicago. Chicago's one of my favorite places to visit. The Detroit Lions got moxie. I mean, part of me thinks, they're having a good year, but I mean, it's their first good year since Christ was a corporal. So, I mean, I can stay with the Cowboys and support, if I want to lose early.
Well, but don't you think, I'm right there with the Detroit Lions. They're underdogs. Don't you want them to continue on supporting them?
I'd like to see them do well. I mean,
they're building.
To me, they've always been the team that lost on Thanksgiving before the Cowboys.
Yep. So some fun facts about the Detroit Lions you may or may not know. In 1993, their lone playoff appearance, some guy named Barry Sanders was the running back on that team. I think he did okay for himself. Not real sure.
Yeah, he ran as many. I mean, he ran as many yards side to side as he did forward. That boy was a hoss.
He could move. The poor guy never had a football team. When he was at Oklahoma State, didn't have a football team. When he went to the Lions, didn't have a football team. The other fun fact is the Detroit Lions successfully went 0-16 and snagged the number 1 draft pick, and unfortunately didn't hit the reset button they hoped it would.
Yeah.
So the football merger, as they recognize the NFL, is 1970. They've got 1 playoff win since. Well, now 2.
Yeah.
I'm all for the Lions, Dave, is what I'm getting at. If you want a underdog story, I'm all for the Lions because your next 2 choices are the team that's been there a lot and a team that's been there and choked every chance they got.
Yeah. Then we move over to the Green Bay Packers, who screw the Green Bay Packers. I mean, God almighty. They call it Titletown. They call it Titletown, and that's because they count all those championships they won when there was only 4 teams in the league.
They got Wade Phillips fired, though, for you after Sunday Night Football.
Well, yeah, but still, I'd rather be stuck on a desert island with speakers on the trees that have Luke Bryan singing on loop, turned all the way up to 10, than be a fan of the Green Bay Packers. And my friend Russ Miller is a huge Green Bay Packers fan, and Russ is a bitch. But I love him. But still, I mean, and then there's the Minnesota Vikings. I can't be a Vikings fan, even though I do appreciate them being dumb enough to trade everybody and their dog for Herschel Walker to get us in the Super Bowls in the 90s. But they're in the same place as the Minnesota Wild, and so no on that. The Atlanta Falcons, kind of, sort of, maybe. I don't dislike the Atlanta Falcons.
Does Belichick going? If Belichick goes there, does that influence the decision at all?
I might put a pin in that. The Carolina Panthers. Can't even say that with a straight face. Keep on going.
Quit.
The New Orleans Saints.
Time out on the Panthers.
Yes.
On the Panthers. They got a owner who wants to be Jerry Jones. So if you are firing your team because of the owner, do not back David Tepper and the Carolina Panthers. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Didn't he throw a drink at a fan?
He did, and they called it assault, which was a joke because it was a plastic glass, or plastic cup, but whatever. But yeah, I think they fined him $300,000, and he's a billionaire. So for him and for us,
but you don't understand. I actually respect that move.
The throwing the drink or the fining him?
No, the throwing the drink at him. Sometimes they be acting like assholes. You know it.
Wasn't he climbing?
Speaking of assholes, there's the New Orleans Saints.
The Aints.
The Aints.
Without Drew Brees, they're the Aints.
With Drew Brees, I would not. I mean, forget. I don't even. I'm not. I get tongue tied, but they're one of the teams I hate. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now this one's promising because of the greatness of their quarterback, that Oklahoma legend, Baker Mayfield.
Favorite thing Baker Mayfield ever did, because you didn't ask, was take the Sooner flag and stick it right in the middle of the 50-yard line in Columbus at Ohio State when they beat them. Because fuck Ohio State today, tomorrow, and forever.
And now forever, yes. Then we had the Arizona Cardinals. No, thank you. No, thank you. I mean, they have a legacy of suck. The Los Angeles Rams, who were the St. Louis Rams, and now they're the Los Angeles Rams again. No, because they're in California.
Here comes the 49ers. Shit on them, Dave.
Oh, and then a friend of mine, Cole, reached out to me and said, "Hey, Dave, we'd be proud to have you on the 49ers bandwagon." Dream on, Hooker. You ever watch the movie with The Rock, the one where the pretty much the San Francisco falls into the ocean?
Yes.
The fault line or whatever it was.
San Andreas Fault.
San Andreas.
Yeah.
That's watching their stadium fall in the ocean is one of my favorite things.
Well, California falling in the ocean would do a lot of us favors. I hope we don't have any listeners, but they're,
And then there's the Seattle Seahawks.
Okay.
I don't hate the Seahawks.
All right.
So
did they hire Dan Quinn yet?
That'll make me hate the Seahawks, that no defensive son of a bitch.
I honestly don't know if they hired a coach yet or not. That's what I know Dan Quinn was in the running for it, but I don't know if they hired anybody or not.
So you see my predicament. I mean,
so you only have two teams, right?
Yeah, 58 years of love. 58 years of love for one team, and that means there's 58 years of hate for another. I mean, for all the rest of them. I mean, back then, they were America's team, but now the star on their helmets become over a rating.
Coach Key said you could be a Raiders fan.
Yeah.
Coach Keith has good taste.
Yeah. I mean, I used to like the Raiders when I was a kid, when they had Ken Stabler and Lyle Alzado and John Masusak and Lala Zeta would start some shit and then walk away like he didn't do it.
That's something I do.
I mean,
Yes.
so I
Hey,
mean,
Drew.
but the Raiders was they were in the same boat as the Cowboys. They had an owner that didn't know what his ass from a hole in the ground, and
Have you met the kid? I mean, he's the same. He's horrible.
Yeah, and I'm afraid that Jerry's son's going to be. I mean, I don't know. I got high hopes for Steven, but who knows?
It's quite the predicament. But if I may, because you and I have similar fandom, and I apologize to Heather Whitley, who heard this last night on our Top Guys, which we love, that she joined us, and she was right about Hook and Joe, which we may talk about later. I've been a diehard Nebraska fan, as most people know, since I was a little kid. Watched them as long as I've watched wrestling. Got to watch Tom Osborne go 60-3 and win 3 national championships. And I have watched the last 10 years of tragedy, because that's really what it's been. They're not even the Cowboys getting to the playoffs or having a good season. They're going 3-9, 4-8, 5-7. It's awful. We have hope this year, though, Dave. And because Kool-Aid is from Nebraska, in case any of you ever see my tweets that say, pass the Kool-Aid, Kool-Aid was actually created in Nebraska. So anytime you talk Nebraska football and I say, pass me the Kool-Aid, all it means is we're drinking that we're coming back to the mountain, et cetera, et cetera. My point is, you abandoning the Cowboys would be like me leaving the Huskers and going to root for the Miami Hurricanes, who are responsible for 3 national championship losses to Nebraska. So I can't do it. I'll never do it. I won't leave them. But this could be a suggestion. Abandon pro football and come to the college side, because it's going to be pro football here in 5 years anyway.
Oh, it's definitely pro football. I mean, and I've got several teams that I can pull for in college. I mean, I enjoy watching college. I'm pretty much all college football for the most part. I mean, there's like, but back to the pros. You're right, but I'm putting the Cowboys on notice. We're now in a bad relationship.
But you've been in a bad relationship since Jimmy
I
left
have,
the team.
and when you're in a bad relationship with me and I really don't care about your feelings, I'm going to call them bitch a lot.
But you're going to stay?
Huh?
Are you going to stay? Are you
I'm
staying?
going to kind of hang around, but I'm going to cheat on them a little bit. I'm going to start cheating. And so I got my eyes on Tampa Bay. I got my and I'm really pulling hard and heavy for the Kansas City Chiefs, because they used to be with the Dallas Texans once upon a time, and they moved to Kansas City. Lamar Hunt, and Lamar Hunt is really responsible for the research for soccer being a thing in the Dallas in that area, in the Dallas area. And as a child, I played a lot of soccer, and that was a passion of the Hunt family. So. And I like Patrick Mahomes. I like Travis Kelce. I like looking up there, and Taylor Swift's got everybody going like this.
Oh, when they put that over the Demolition music, that was perfect.
Oh, I loved it.
That was awesome. I don't care if Taylor Swift was involved or not.
They're wearing it out, showing her every other play, but that's just how things go. Because I remember when Colt McCoy was the quarterback for the University of Texas. Every time he did something good, they showed Colt's mom, which was okay because, Colt's mom wasn't bad to look at. But what was funny is that she wouldn't let the girlfriend sit next to her. Colt's girlfriend had to sit on the other side of the father because she wasn't sharing her camera time. So I'm just saying, this is what we're going to do. Why can't I quit you, Dallas Cowboys? But we may have to go to counseling or something. But I'm tired of showing up to the Tuesday meetings and saying, "Hey, my name is Dave, and I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan." And everybody goes, "Hi, Dave."
Hi, Dave.
No keychain for you, asshole.
Yeah, you ain't making it 30 days. Now, listen, I'd like to address Terry Weaver, my co-host of the T&A Top 10, saying I cheated on Nebraska with Coach Saban. Here's the thing. When you're single, you can mingle. And I'm committed to both because we're in an open relationship and it's okay. But this is what I will tell anybody who's interested or not.
In an open relationship?
Correct. I will
Okay.
not leave Alabama just because Saban is gone. They have me as a fan now after watching that team for the last 16 years. Terry knows the story. I've told it on T&A Top 10. They came on at the 3:30 game most of the time in 2008. They came into preseason as the 24 seed or the 24 ranked team. They ended up taking it all the way to number 2, and then they got T-bowed in the SEC championship game, and they got routed by Utah. The next year started the real dynasty for Nick Saban. They meet Florida again in the SEC championship game, and this time, led by Heisman Trophy winner Mark Ingram, they opened the third quarter with 12 consecutive running plays, left, right, and up the middle. Now, back to Nebraska football. Anybody that knows anything about me, that's what they used to do. They ran this thing called the option, and it was left, right, and up the middle, and they're going to run 4 yards of carry on you, and they're going to wear you down, they're going to beat you up, and then they're going to play defense. I was watching Nebraska play, but they were called the Crimson Tide. So I really enjoyed that high-level football, whereas then I'd watch the Nebraska game, and they'd be winning by 10, and throw an interception or fumble the ball or choke or whatever, and they're a 9-4 team. So
Yeah,
it is what it is.
And
But
since
I'm
you
not
brought it up,
leaving Alabama, just so Terry's aware. So
And-
the
and I'm not
TNA
gonna-
Top 10 will have plenty of Roll Tides left on the
Yeah.
show.
My wife accuses me of being an Alabama fan because of Conrad. I was an Alabama fan before Conrad. I've always had a thing for. I mean, I've always had, for Alabama. Gene Stallings used to be the coach of Alabama. He was a Dallas Cowboy. So it ties back to, and I mean, Nick Saban left LSU and pissed them off. It's not lies. It's not lies.
And that's
Because
the thing about
because I said roll tide roll. I said roll tide roll to her one time before I was even hanging out with Conrad.
Well, and that's
So-
the thing about Saban too, is people forget the LSU stint. They don't even want to talk about that. But he took a team that was in the shitter, and my co-host can go ahead and verify that as an Auburn fan. And he made them SEC champions consecutively, and then won a national title, which got him the job at the Miami Dolphins.
And I promise we're going to quit talking about football and talk wrestling because I don't want to run Heather off like we do on Top Guy.
And that was
Wednesday.
my fault last night, Heather. I apologize.
But what I'm
James
saying
Sorensen
is,
got me fired up, and it's his fault too.
but I do wish Coach Saban all the best, and I appreciate him and I love him because he is, he's the greatest of all time. He is, and if he wanted to coach pros, he could have stayed in the pros. So
On TNA Top 10, we're doing a new format starting next week. Terry and we always record on the off day you guys are recording because we like to participate. We're all good friends. And most of the time people see me in the chat, not on the screen. So I appreciate y'all having me. TNA Top 10 is going to kick off next week with the goodbye to Coach Saban. So if
Okay.
y'all like football talk, I'm going to actually write something out about what I think Nick Saban means to college football fans, the game itself. And we'll move on from there because, like you said, this is wrestling, not football. But if anyone is interested, we're probably going to do 20 to 30 minutes talking about what Saban meant, and we're going to move on with our new format next week.
Well, so let's move off of that, and we'll go right into since we're talking about my fandom. My fandom is into another and has gone to another level now, a reboot, if you will. Let's talk about TNA, the former Impact, the former TNA, then Impact, now back to TNA with the reboot. Total nonstop action. Not Andrew and Terry talking about football.
And
Total
not,
nonstop action.
Test and
uh,
Albert.
They have an app. It was the Impact Plus app. It's TNA Plus app now, where you can go and so if you have a hard time, you can't find them on television, you can get them on their app. And if I'm not mistaken, I know you can get the pay-per-views on their apps. Their app is hosted by Endeavor, who owns WWE.
Mm-hmm.
And they know a little something about running a successful wrestling platform.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and speaking of that, you're talking about a reboot, or it has like a whole new look. Like it wasn't just, oh, we're going to change our name, going back to the name TNA. They have new belts, new ring attire, ring skirts, the buckles, like they've got a really different look. I think it's the belts that's probably, I mean, all the belts are new. So like they
Yes,
really like,
we're fixing to talk about them. I mean,
okay.
we're fixing to
Way to
look
jump
at 'em.
Shut up.
Way to jump the shark there, Amy.
No, I mean,
I'll just sit myself back and look pretty.
no,
You're
I
prettier
mean,
than I am.
I wasn't. But
No,
so
TNA. You were on TNA, Dave.
so TNA they relaunched. They had a pay-per-view in Las Vegas, and they gave them all new belts. And let's bring those belts up. Let's see this is the Knockouts World Tag Team Championship. The Knockouts are what TNA calls their women's division. I love this belt. I love these domes. If you're not watching the YouTube and you're listening to this, it's pretty much a nickel belt. It's got the TNA logo in the middle. I don't know what that font's called, but I've seen it as a choice when I've picked fonts before, and it's pretty cool. It's not like a wingding. It's almost like symbols that spell out total nonstop action.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 3-plater. On the sides, they have these globes, and the globes are painted with red. And normally, traditionally on a wrestling belt, when you have those globes, they'll have blue to represent the water. So I really like the red globe, and the red globe is it's a half globe on the main plate. But they have they've always had a great women's division. They were very innovative.
Far superior.
They
superior
put it
to WWF.
on wrestling before WWE did.
Yep, far superior.
And their current knockout tag team champions are a team called Decay, which is Rosemary and Havoc.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a beautiful belt. And I think right now, if you ask me which promotion has the best belts from top to bottom, it's TNA. They have upped their belt game, because you could say that the new world heavyweight title in WWE is a beautiful belt. The AEW belt's beautiful. The TNT belt is probably my favorite belt in all of wrestling. It's just, and especially when they have the one with the with all the stones in it. They're not using that version right now with Christian, but the TNT belt has always been, to me, is just a beautiful, simple belt. But from top to bottom, TNA really, really upped the belt game. Here's the Knockouts World's Women's Championship.
Ooh, that's
it
pretty.
was on the pay-per-view. Trinity, who was the former Naomi in WWE, was their champion, and she lost the belt to Jordan Grace.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I like that.
This is a gold belt with the same, it's a 5-plater. It's just the gold like the world belt should be. But that red globe that's just prominent on it pops for me.
You think it'd look better on black leather? You like the white leather there, Dave? Or even the red, maybe, because the red was really pretty on the last one.
I
think the red. I like the white leather on a women's belt.
I got you.
I do like the white leather on a women's belt, but it's gonna get dirty real quick.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Sweat. Also the white leather cracks quicker, shows dirt. If they're using any kind of baby oil or tanner, if they're using tanner,
self tanner makeup,
yeah, it's gonna. That belt would look good on black. That belt would look. I'd love to see it on red.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was never a belt guy, but when the Warrior had the multicolored belts, and he was the first one I ever saw bring the eagle out on a white, it looked really, really good. But then, of course, he did the neon colors too, which was really innovative. So
yeah, Crockett did the world tag team. I mean, not the world tag team, the world heavyweight belt, world television belt. It originally came out on red leather, and I really liked that
Yep.
red with the nickel. And then they put the tag belts on blue leather. They had a black on black, and then they changed it to the blue leather. And that's when I started noticing, different colors. Because up until then, you had a black belt. Well, look at there's the World Tag Team belts. The World Tag Team belts on red leather, so you can see that red and nickel just looks so good. And right now, the World Tag Team Champions are a team called ABC, which is Ace Austin and Chris Bay.
Chris Bay's awesome.
Yeah,
like him.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you what, Chris Bay used to be on the belt groups. He's a belt collector.
Really?
He's a legitimate belt mark.
Fun follow on social media too. Really, really fun follow.
So I can guarantee you that when he saw that belt, I mean, I guarantee he's probably more proud to carry that belt than anybody in the company.
Because they beat the Rascals, didn't they?
I can tell you.
I want to say it was the Rascals, but maybe not.
They did beat the Rascals, Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz.
Yeah.
Trey Miguel's I like him too.
They're dope smokers. You got to stick together. What can I say? It's legal in Ohio. We haven't made it to North Carolina yet.
What's the next belt we got, Tip? This is the digital media belt, which I think is genius. I've long said that a wrestling company needed what we would call a multimedia belt that was defended on all platforms, defended on all your TV shows, all your pay-per-view streaming. Tape a match, put it on Facebook, put it on Twitter, put it on YouTube. And they have a digital media champion, and it's it's Tommy Dreamer. Tommy Dreamer is the digital champion, and
really,
he was.
Did he lose it?
Yes, Tommy Dreamer. Who he lost it this at the pay-per-view? Right?
I have no idea. I didn't see it. I only saw some highlights.
Yes, crazy Steve.
Yes, he lost it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I overlooked that. Yeah, Crazy
he was
Steve.
The champion, but you're right. He lost it.
I don't know who the hell Crazy Steve is.
He's the new digital media T&A.
Thank you. I did not realize that. I apologize. I think we have one more. Actually, we have two more.
Yeah.
Now this belt's badass. This is the X Division Championship, and it is held by Chris Sabin. Chris Sabin's a hell of a performer. Motor City Machine Guns.
Talk about a team that should have got a bigger break. No offense to TNA, but him and Alex Shelley.
Yeah, well, Alex Shelley was the world heavyweight champion going into this pay-per-view. So, I mean, you have one of the best tag teams that they've ever had. I mean, you could make an argument the Motor City Machine Guns are top 10 tag team of all time.
Yeah.
But they were holding, the two major titles in the company, the singles titles. And then there's the World Heavyweight Championship. I love the leather cut is different. It hugs around those side plates. Excuse me.
Where'd you get these pictures from?
Hazard F5 on Twitter. He does a lot of belt reviews. Been around for years.
Cool.
He's always on top of belt news. And I knew when he whoever, I don't know where he found the pictures, but I knew through him I had seen them all. So I went to Hazard F5. So we'll go ahead and give him credit now.
I was really hoping,
and
not
Alex
to
Shelley,
interrupt you, that you were going to say this came from your backyard, and you are just now telling Teppy that you bought all these, and she didn't realize what the background was.
No, I didn't. But Moose defeated Alex Shelley Moose is now the world heavyweight champion in TNA, and it looks like he's going to be working a program with Nick Nemeth, the former Dolph Ziggler. He came out and confronted him after the match
at the end of the pay-per-view,
at
because
the end of the pay-per-view.
the thing that sucked a lot of the air out of the headlines was Ospreay versus Alexander. Wasn't that on this pay-per-view?
Wasn't
Josh
Ospreay.
Alexander.
No, it was Josh
Hammerstone.
Alexander, and it was Hammerstone.
Or Hammerstone, okay.
From what I understand, they stole the show. But
Yeah, because I thought it was Ospreay. That's my bad.
and no, it wasn't Ospreay. It was Hammerstone. Who
No,
was
you're probably right. I didn't watch it.
and Hammerstone is a tremendous athlete. Forever MLW champion. And then but we wish TNA. I really want to watch TNA. I'm excited about their product.
You know, they've made it difficult to be a fan, though, over the years, not because they don't have good wrestlers or good creative, but they've never had a good platform to watch TNA, you know?
I mean, they're on Access, but
That's what I'm
they're on
saying.
Access, but you can't watch them on the Access app. Like, all I could find about TNA on Access on their app was like a 6-second preview of the pay-per-view.
Is that because of Endeavor? Might have bigger plans. Also, another thing along with this reboot is that they have a partnership with AAA. And so, we might see some interesting to see what that will bring.
Yeah.
I knew I wasn't a complete idiot. Josh Alexander versus Will Ospreay was announced. That's my bad. Sorry.
Oh, it was announced. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be good. Man, I love Josh Alexander. He is such great. I got to work with him at the Wrestling Showcase, and that was one of those matches that was hard for me to keep my head in and not just watch what was going on.
That's funny. I'm sitting here staring at the Wrestling Showcase flyer, and I see all these people that we're talking about. Josh Alexander's on there.
Yeah, Moose is on there.
Moose is on there.
And someone like Conrad doesn't need us to echo what he says, but he's right when he says, it's always been TNA, LOL, whatever. But they have had a hell of a run as a company since 2002, and they've had a hell of a lot of talent, past and present, run through that company.
Yes.
I just watched Shelton Benjamin and Kurt Angle do an interview with Paul on the Kurt Angle show tonight. But Angle was in TNA as long as he was in WWE.
Yes.
So, but people kind of forget that.
I used to watch the weekly pay-per-views.
Yeah.
I loved the weekly pay-per-views.
Got a little spendy, but yeah, they were good initially. Anyway.
Well, so there's TNA. And next I want to talk about FTR. FTR recently.
Whew. Oh, y'all should have given me some warning.
FTR is, to me, FTR is one of my favorite tag teams.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're one of the best tag teams in the world.
Mm-hmm.
They are, bar none. They recently took issue with Eric Bischoff on Twitter. They had an interview, and they called Eric Bischoff out for perceived criticism of AEW. They didn't really touch on Eric's main issue, but they went after has-been, washed-up podcast. Washed-up, I can't remember the term. Has-beens, washed-up podcasters.
It was definitely a very interesting interview that the FTR was having because, of course, Dax had been gone back and forth with Eric on Twitter. So the whole thing started, I guess. I'm not really for sure.
Yeah, but before CM Punk, he was on Eric Bischoff's nuts on Twitter. He was a fan of 83 Weeks, listened to it, everything.
I wasn't. I didn't mean it. I was just saying Dax had some Twitters with Eric recently before this interview when they were there in North Carolina. So so Eric had been kind of going back and forth with Tony Khan, Tony Khan was kind of having the same, you know, which I love Eric Bischoff and I love listening to Strictly Business because he's telling you about all that stuff behind the scenes and things that in production and that kind of stuff that you just don't really think about. And so I really do think that Eric is very honest when he says that he really does want AEW to strive. Competition is good. It's not good to have a monopoly on something and giving people places to go. So I totally believe that Eric is not just, trying to be an asshole and poking holes at
Oh, he's
whatever.
got a personal issue with Tony Khan. He doesn't have any respect for him because Tony Khan made a very, very stupid comment about Ted Turner.
Yes, yes,
And
and
and we all have people that you can talk about them and you get triggered and you want to climb the water tower with a can of paint and cover up their name. That's all it was. Now, where I've got a problem with what they said about Eric and old podcasters, and I want to say they were practicing a bit of bitchcraft, was he didn't mention his buddy Cornette, who makes a living weekly crapping all over the product. Like that's their sole purpose is to find fault with every segment of every AEW show. I mean, that's pretty much the Jim Cornette show. But that's his buddy. That's his buddy that talks about how great he is all the time. He's
I
a
was gonna
huge fan
say.
of FTR.
Yeah,
So-
big
Because
time.
So I would have respected the comments more if you would have gone in on the guy that actually does trash your product on a weekly basis.
right. Well, and I don't even know
And I'm
why
not saying that Cornette's wrong. He points
right.
out.
No, I know. I'm just
I'm-
saying I don't even understand why FTR even got involved in it. Like, like did we see Adam Cole or, anybody else on the AEW roster get involved in this? I don't understand why, Dax and Cash even said anything. Like why,
Well, the guy
we
doing
get-
the interview led him that way. But it would have been just as easy to throw Jim Cornette and his little buddy in. But I mean, I'll be the first to tell you
no
that
comment, coach.
I mean, Eric Bischoff's got a hard on for Tony Khan, much like you do for Brad Stanton, Amy.
Well, now hold on. If wanting the product to be better, as in I want Brad to be better, then yes. I will give critiques, criticism, whatever, because I do think, and unless you are just a absolute hardcore AEW, one of those people that, AEW can do no wrong, I think we all think there might, he doesn't need to be the booker of every freaking show. And he doesn't, I think we all have ideas of things that, hey, I wish he would do this or I wish he would do that. And I think that's all Eric ever tries to say.
Well, WWE played to an audience of one for years.
Yeah, I
Yes.
have a different opinion on
And-
both of these things whenever you guys are.
Okay. And I think AEW plays to an
did.
audience of one right now.
Yes, I do too. I agree. I do.
And
I totally agree. And I think that's the reason why people get very vocal about that and can say, I mean, that's not what we want. And Eric Bischoff will say, the whole buffet thing. And that's very true. You have to appeal to all kinds of different people. And again, kind of like with Vince McMahon, there's probably not anybody there that will tell Tony no, or this sounds stupid, or let's do this. Like you said, it is an audience of one. And I don't think we want to get back into that. But going back to, Dax and Cash, they're
But-
AEW employees right now. So I don't know why they said what they did. Like and I understand they kind of got led into it. They've done some stuff on Twitter, but I'm just saying, they're trying to give credence to their product. They know a lot of the things that are probably going on behind the scenes that we don't, that maybe Tony's not getting credit for. And
Oh,
are they professional speakers? Maybe not. I mean, do they have a lot of experience podcasting or speaking and going off like Eric does. So maybe
I'm
they
not
just say,
disagreeing, and I don't have a problem with them defending what they
yeah,
do for a living. And hey,
yes,
and I also want to say thank God for Tony Khan. Thank God for Tony Khan. Thank God for AEW. He employs a lot of people. He's You may not like everything like last night. Hook and Joe was great. Hook and Joe was great. We need more Hook and Joe. I mean that those kind of presentations that was so good. But what I'm saying is, I'm not anti AEW.
no, I know,
AEW is great, and WWE. I think WWE tries harder with competition, and now's a
of course.
great time because you got AEW, you got TNA, you got New Japan. I mean, you got GCW, and I may not like everything that goes on GCW, but they got some good wrestling on there too.
Right,
Uh,
MLW,
you got OVW,
OVW,
and OVW
definitely.
just hired Mickey James to run their women's division. That's a commitment.
He had to be an executive,
That's trying to make things better, and they're
right?
sold out. You know, the wrestlers did great things for OVW. OVW sells out on a weekly basis, and their product is, you know, it's great.
Their pay-per-view that's coming up February 10th is already sold out. The only way you can see that is to watch it on pay-per-view. But
Yeah, and
Andrew,
I'm just
tell us.
saying that my issue with FTR on that interview is they went after Eric Bischoff, but overlooked their little buddy Jim, who does more against AEW than Eric does.
Right, but Jim Cornette's not in a Twitter battle with Tony Khan right now, right? I mean,
Not
I
this
think
week.
but that's what I'm saying. I think it's mainly because Eric and Tony
Oh, and
Khan
Eric
were going
started
back.
it. Put the tweet. I mean, let's talk about. Let's let Andrew make his point, and then
Yes,
we'll put
yes.
Tony Khan's tweet on the up on the
No,
screen.
y'all fine. I'm enjoying listening to this. Number one, Brad Stanton is wrong. FTR is the best tag team in the world, bar none. They're number 3 of all time. That's how it is. I don't care what anybody says. It's Arn and Tully. It's the Midnights in any incarnation, and it's FTR. Those are your best tag teams in the world. And I understand if you want to say the Road Warriors or Freebird, whatever. It doesn't matter. We're talking technical wrestling. We're talking professional wrestlers.
I was thinking the
Secondly,
Briscoes, but
Eric Bishop. Yeah, which one? Jack and Jerry or Jay and
both.
well, there you go. I mean, I've seen the latter day Briscoes, Mark Briscoe and Jay Briscoe before Jay died.
Right.
That was a great match. They wrestled rock and roll, but it was a great match. Eric Bischoff is a legacy protector. Anytime his legacy and his contributions in professional wrestling are challenged by anybody, he gets on the defensive. And if you question or challenge him, for instance, he's never been able to answer this question in all of the hours he's put together on 83 weeks. He was fired September the 10th of 99. They brought in Russo. They bring Eric back in March. He's supposed to oversee Russo. So if you're supposed to oversee Russo, why did you let the shit show continue? Well, I wasn't a job, blah, blah, blah. No. You're overseeing him. You're his boss. At some point, you're responsible. Any negative towards Eric Bischoff, he deflects, defers, whatever, because he's a legacy protector. Instead of, in my opinion, being somebody who should say, yeah, we really screwed that one up. We spent 18 months building Sting Hogan and didn't even execute a proper fast count at Starrcade 97 and killed the biggest money angle that our company ever had, because that genuinely was the case. That screw up, whoever's fault you want to say it was, and ultimately, Eric's the president of WCW, it's his fault.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, Tony Khan sucks, okay? He's not a good leader. He's not a good administrator. He's punching down. Eric Bischoff's a retired wrestling promoter that Turner ran off. And you're going to go ahead and bitch and all that about him and that sort of thing. Why don't you do this instead? Find a team that challenges you rather than just says yes to everything you agree to, you do, and go ahead and put on a good professional wrestling product rather than a professional indie show, because that's what Dynamite has become. Number 3, Collision is a terrible show in that it's in a terrible time slot. Who's going to watch Collision during college football season? And now it's college basketball season. And later it's going to be moved because of the playoffs or this, that, or the other. Terrible. Get on a streaming platform and move on.
But
And
wouldn't
then
you agree that most wrestling content is not consumed live anymore.
I would agree because I use the fast forward button because I ain't going to watch all this garbage. And so when we talk about how many listeners there are to podcasts, they base that on downloads, this, that, and the other. When you're talking about television, though, you got so many options of watching it. And look, I'll be honest, I've been the guy that was an absolute AEW apologist until CM Punk. And then when they started to jump on that bandwagon and go after CM Punk and all that crap, I'm out of it. I'm done. CM Punk was never the reason I turned on professional wrestling until he came to AEW, because I wanted to see what they were going to do. It's the only time he was ever a draw for me. But getting back to the Eric and Tony Khan thing, AEW is clearly mismanaged. They're mismanaging their resources. They got a great television company behind them with a long-established record. Here's the problem, though. If you believe Eric Bischoff, they didn't want wrestling in 1998. What's changed in 2024? So you better make a good product that people are going to watch, because here's the thing. I now watch AEW on Twitter and Instagram and occasionally, like I did last night, knowing that they were going to do the Hook Samoa Joe thing. And by the way, as Jim Cornette would say, that's lazy booking, because all it was Undertaker Jeff Hardy from 2002, and they couldn't even execute that right, because what should have happened is Joe hits a third muscle buster, Hook gets up, Joe goes to shake his hand, Hook passes out, and they cut to the credits. That's how you book the finish to that match. You don't bring out Hangman. You don't bring out Swerve. You already saw them earlier. There's no need for that. Are you going to make Hook, or are you going to move on to the next program? So you can't even segmentally decide what you're going to do from a creative standpoint. And then you have people like Jake Roberts, Arn Anderson, Tony Schiavone, Jim Ross, all these people on your payroll. Who the fuck are you listening to? Certainly not them. And finally, to Amy's beloved Dax, shut the fuck up and do your job. You couldn't even make it as a podcaster, and that's no offense necessarily to you, because your co-host could fucking kill, dandelions. But at the end of the day, Dax, you get paid to defend the company. You get paid to be a professional wrestler. You want to argue with Eric Bischoff, that's your business. But don't go be a legacy protector like he is. All of us agree you're the best, one of the best tag team wrestlers in the world. I think you're the best tag team. I think FTR is better than the Usos, and I know that's a hot take for a lot of wrestling fans, because that is a match that I'd love to see again. But who the hell cares? Shut up and wrestle. Let's go.
Well,
Let's go.
in all fairness to Dax, though, Dax was having a very successful podcast, and they cut his nuts because he was stepping on too many toes at the office. But at the time, that Dax didn't think he was going to be back at the office, so he was stepping on toes. Now he's back at the office, and now he's towing that company line. And I don't blame him, because I don't know how many zeros are on. I don't know how many zeros and commas are on his check.
There it is. It's amazing what a multi-million-dollar
like I said,
extension.
My only issue with his comments were that he didn't include Cornette by name.
And here's the other thing. I know I just said that like 5 times. But if you're an AEW wrestler, other than Tony's creative sucks, you got it pretty made. They just made a big deal about Hook being 28-1 in singles competition. The dude's been wrestling for 2 years, and he's 28-1. They're not doing a ton of matches. They're not doing 300 days a year. They're not, if you work for the other company, meaning WWE in this case, if you do the other company, then you're doing 200 days a year. You're not doing 100 or 150. AEW has so much talent, they don't even know where to start. And that's another problem, is they are such a talent-rich roster, they can't showcase it with anybody. And then again, you run into this creative issue where we end up showcasing the same people. If they don't put that world title on Swerve Strickland, they're fucking stupid, because that's where it needs to go next.
Yes, 100% yes. I can't scream that loud enough.
Go ahead and dance him out to the damn world championship, and he needs to be the one to beat Samoa Joe, because beating Samoa Joe means something still. So whoever does
I think Samoa Joe is a hell of a champion
guy.
already.
Yeah.
The way he
Definitely.
carries himself, the demeanor, he's an old school world champ, and this is like his Ring of Honor run and his TNA run. This is, you talked about TNA earlier, Dave. He was Joe's Gonna Kill You in TNA. Him and Kurt Angle had some of the best matches I've ever seen, and they didn't do it in WWF, and they didn't do it in AEW. They did it in TNA.
I've always thought Joe fell victim in TNA to Dixie being in love with the next WWE release. Because he was primed to be the man, and then Kurt Angle, and then Christian, and then anybody that got released from WWE seemed to get, because Dixie was in love with that, it seemed like.
Well, there's a pattern that Tony Khan has fallen into as well. Let's sign every released talent from AEW or from WWE to AEW. And I'm not saying that Christian isn't having a hell of a run. I'm not saying that they made a mistake with Samoa Joe.
For me personally, this is the first time that Christian's ever been interesting to me.
Yeah.
Ever.
It's the turtleneck and the sleeveless shirt. That's what does it for you.
Well, his presentation, his work is...
His work has always been amazing. He's always been a really good worker. I think he was in the shadow of Edge, which is interesting with Edge being back. They've always... Vince... that's famously Vince.
And Tony Khan has to get
face.
And getting to Daniel Bryan's and the Edge and Christian and people that are no longer with WWE is, it's giving them some names. It's giving them some names that people will give them that might put some eyeballs on them to see what else they got going on. And maybe they're not doing the best job of showing them what else they got going on.
Definitely not.
Before we move off from FTR, though, what exactly is it that Brad said that got you going, though? Because
I've got the paraphrase was, I don't know what everybody thinks is so fucking special about FTR.
Well, I was told that I needed to play this.
Well, first, wait, can I say something first?
Stay with me here. Strawberry milk. And I know what you're thinking. What? Literally, it tastes so good. And plus, shout out vegans. It's vegan because it's strawberry milk and not like cow milk. You know what I mean?
Okay, y'all heard that, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that is how I felt when I heard Brad's comment. Like you're hearing something, right? But your brain is not computing. You're looking at this person, and he, in this video, he says it's strawberry milk, and that's better for vegans because that means it's not cow milk. And you're just like, is he screwed? Like, is he really saying what I think? Like, does he really think that? You want to be like, is that he's screwing with me, right? You cannot actually think strawberry milk comes from strawberries. It just so that's how I felt.
Well, the show notes she sent me, we're going to do this and we're going to do this and we're going to talk about this. And it's like, she'd have a headline with a little caption. And then she just had like a little Brad Stanton is an effing idiot.
Yep. She definitely put that in the show notes. And,
and that was all. There wasn't no little paragraph explaining why.
Right. Well, because I'm just, like I said, I just was staring when I'm hearing that he doesn't get FTR, and he's a wrestling fan. Like, it's not even like, one of my kids or my sister or so. Even my sister would recognize, a good, a good wrestling team. But a fan that says that, you don't have to love them, but you should respect what they do in the ring. Now, I did just a little peek behind the curtain. I did a little thing, and I stopped by Brad Stanton has a podcast also. It's called Kickout Crew, and they tape on Thursdays. So I just decided he had to have had a head injury, because that's the only way someone could legitimately say that about FTR. So I stopped by. I did not kick him in the head.
Well,
unless his head was up his ass that day, like obviously it was 3 days ago or whenever he recorded that.
It could probably was positioned somewhere in that vicinity. Andrew. But I would just say this. You all, their show comes out on Thursday. So next Thursday, give it a listen. Me stopping by. We've all decided that Brad had some kind of head trauma and was making some crazy statements. Um, I take that back. I don't want to call him a fucking idiot if he has a head trauma. That's very rude. So I'm going to step that back a little bit because head trauma is that's very bad. That's very important that we take care of him. I thought he might have had a stroke. I didn't know. Like I knew
Hey,
some kind of blood clot.
I love
something had
those
to happen.
guys, and I don't have a problem with Brad Stanton.
Me either.
I
but
mean,
my reaction
But
to
come
it was
on,
kind
Brad.
of-
But Brad's probably the type of guy that's excited about the Young Bucks being in Sting's last match.
He
instead
said
of,
one of his favorite teams was the Lucha Brothers. So he definitely
There you
likes
go.
to flip flop and fly.
Hmm. And I
My
think FTR ought to be in the main event against Sting in this last match.
I'm going to let Brad know my reaction to him wasn't quite as vitriol as Amy's. I didn't call him a fucking idiot. But I did pull my favorite David Rose character out, where I thought, I have never heard someone say so many incorrect things at the same time in consecutive order. I don't know how he pulled that off, but he managed to do it. So
That is
thank you,
very,
Brad Stanton, for the laugh.
Andrew, it's a head injury or a stroke. We're not positive. There's a blood clot involved somewhere that's cut off oxygen to his brain that would help him make rational statements. And so we're just going to keep watching our little friend Brad and, might have to do an intervention. I don't really know. But, again, Lucha Brothers can be your favorite, but you have to appreciate what FTR brings to the table. Now, you know what's really interesting, Pondwater? We actually talked about that a little bit. See, I don't think FTR should be Sting's last match because I actually think Matthew and Nicholas are going to be great opponents because I think everybody's going to love when the Stinger Splash happens to Matthew or Nicholas or whichever Jackson brother is up there. I think they would have a great match with FTR, but FTR, I think people want to see Sting really give it to an opponent and cheer that. And I don't think they're going to do that with FTR. If FTR was the opponent, they would have a great match, but I like the idea of seeing actual heels going against Sting and Darby. I think it's going to be a more. Is it more fun or funner?
They got some good heels in Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett that would be perfect for it. And here's my problem. And my first exposure, when I learned who the Young Bucks were, I'll never forget it. I was on my way back. We were on our way back from NWA Legends in Charlotte. We stayed in a hotel in Alabama. I can't think of the name of the town, but it's right next to an outlet mall. Right off I-20, and we got a room for the night. And I was flipping channels, and Ring of Honor was on, and somebody said Super Kick Party, and they put a counter on the screen, and the counter kept going up with every super kick. And I was like, "What in the hell is this?"
Right?
Because Shawn Michaels, Chris Adams. You're not supposed to use more than one. And now we're like on 22.
Yeah.
And that's how that was my first exposure to the Young Bucks. Which, unapologetically, I wasn't impressed with my first impression of them.
Right.
Because of the Super Kick Party.
Right. And I do think, again, I'm a huge fan. As we all know, I'm the first lady of the Arn Anderson fan club. And
You're
Arn
welcome.
Anderson, yes, I do owe that to Andrew.
Yes, Terry.
Arn is not a flop guy either. And so that is the kind of style of wrestling and the tag team wrestling where they have that psychology and they're keeping them, they cut off the ring and they're doing little, tags that they're not being seen and the opponent doesn't know. And they, do a hand, all those little things that the tag teams do. I love it. And that is what FTR brings to the table. And again, that's the reason why I thoroughly enjoy it. I'm with you. I could that to me is a staged event, a kick. What did you say? A super kick party. Like
Yeah,
that sounds
I mean
stupid
that
to
was the
me.
graphic on the screen. Super kick party with a counter that looked like
Yeah,
the odometer in your car, and it just kept
yeah. I'm
clicking
not
up.
interested in that. I'm not
No,
interested in, and I love Darby Allin. I don't. I mean, as a mother, I cannot see him. I want to see him die in front of my face, and I am just horrified by that. And
Yep.
I wish he wouldn't take as many bumps. I do not know why Sammy Guevara took that bump when he is a dad to like a 3-month old. Like, there's no reason, but their fans demand that. I mean, that's kind of
what
where they've
fan? What
gotten
fan demands that you jump off a platform like you're just gonna dive into the?
that there are AEW fans that I don't want to say demand that, but like I said, that then if they didn't do it,
I 100% agree with Jason.
yes, very true.
Jason gives the Bucks credit for being the best self-marketers in the wrestling business. They made millions without Vince. He's absolutely right. I mean, I watched them at the first Starcast read. They came out with a children's book, and they sat there and read the children's book. And I thought it was. I mean,
I don't
I
think
respect
yes.
their hustle.
Yes,
I have
just-
I have a point on FTR or not FTR, the Young Bucks as well.
My
Whenever
problem is the continuous. It's like we're going to do our thing, and we can't be bothered with the rules of tag team wrestling.
yes.
So we can't get all this done before the referee counts 5. So hey, Rick Knox, just stand there and don't count 5.
Yes, I
Yep.
feel like that's gotten more and more. I'm sorry, Andrew. Andrew, does Terry not let you talk? Like, what do y'all do? We just talk over each other. We just
no, I just keep rolling, and then eventually, when I take a breath, he decides he's going to get his information.
okay.
in.
Well, you got to jump in with us. So
No, it's fine. The two things on the Young Bucks. The first is negative. The second is positive. Last night during the promo, they went full twat squad, as I like to call them, doing their smarmy, heely nonsense where they invoked the CM Punk crap in the back and all that. Everybody
yes,
knew what they were talking about. You don't even have to be a smart fan. All you had to be doing was paying attention. Move past the garbage. Nobody cares anymore. He's in WWE. He'll be injured before WrestleMania. He won't wrestle Seth Rollins for the title. Just move the fuck on. Number
I don't
two,
understand that though,
let
because
it go.
he called you out. He called you out because he accused y'all of talking to Meltzer about his business.
Hmm.
The team that has the Meltzer driver. So it wasn't beyond the realm of possibility that they might have a relationship where they would talk to Dave Meltzer. He called them out, said, "You got a problem? Couldn't find me." They had a problem. They came and found him, and they got their ass kicked. To me, I want to let it go. But no, you're
Let it
continuing to poke a
go.
bear that's not even there to kick your ass again.
you and I
think-
agree.
yeah.
That's what I was saying. It was clearly a shot at CM Punk. The only
Oh,
other
yeah.
point I was going to make is everybody in this room, everybody listens to the show, everybody loves professional wrestling, has to say thank you to the Young Bucks. Without being the elite, there would not be all elite wrestling. And unfortunately, or fortunately, that's the
It's
case.
fortunate because there's lots of people getting a paycheck from that. The boys have
Well,
a place to work.
there are people that have blind hatred for them. I'm not one of them. I acknowledge the
Right.
fact that without being the elite, without this YouTube series that got Tony Khan's attention and everybody's interest, they were able to build a wrestling company from the ground
Yes.
up, and they kept everybody interested and everybody invested. And that's why you saw the MGM in Vegas sell out in 9 minutes. That's why you saw Chicago after that pay-per-view sell out in 4 minutes. I mean, they were hot. And a lot of that was due to the Young Bucks. Of course, Cody was involved. Kenny was involved. I get that. And they had to pitch it to Tony Khan with the $1 billion wallet. I get
sold
that
out
too.
Madison Square Garden because the fans actually thought that those guys were going to be there.
All right.
Correct.
The Ring of Honor.
Yeah, Ring of Honor
Yeah.
sold out Madison Square Garden because they thought Cody and the Bucks and Omega were going to be there
Right.
when the tickets went on sale.
Yeah.
Hey, and I'm not going to, it's Tony Khan's money. It's
Mhm.
Tony Khan's company, and Tony Khan can do what he wants to do. Because I'm going to tell you what, if it was me, you'd have a product on television, and I don't know that if anybody would like it any better.
Right.
But there would be finishing moves. Would nobody kicking out of a DDT? Ain't nobody
Right.
kicking out of a destroyer. Ain't nobody kicking out of a super kick. You're gonna get disqualified. I'd have an over the top rope back as being a disqualification. And I'm gonna tell you why. You're gonna say, "Well, that's stupid, Dave." No, because you can throw a guy between the ropes all day long and they hit the floor just as hard. But if it's not supposed to happen, they're not supposed to go over the top rope. When the ref's not looking, you throw that guy over the top rope. Everybody's like, he threw him over top rope. He threw him over top rope. It means something. Well, then how about a finish? How about a finish where the referee's laying on the ground and he just happens to look up and see a wrestler get thrown over the top rope. And then he gets the guy back in and he pins him 1, 2, 3. And you think the title's changed hands. The referee that had come in and because the other ref's down, but then the other referee said, no, I looked up and he came flying over the top rope. That was a disqualification. That's just another way to tell the story. Mm-hmm. It's just another way to tell the story. The rules, if you can build a match in the framework of the rules. It's just great storytelling and everything means something. And that would be the wrestling. If that would be what you would get. I mean, you wouldn't have barbed wire under the ring. You wouldn't have, we weren't using bottles.
But doesn't everybody have barbed
wire? You wouldn't get a
under
Texas
the
death
ring?
match until it's like, it's our blow-off match. It's going to be a Texas death match. It's our blow-off match is going to be in a cage. And the cage isn't to escape. The cage is to keep everybody out and keep these guys in so we can settle a personal issue. Mm-hmm. And that's what I would do if I was running the wrestling promotion. And that may not go over well with Pubby. And then you'd hear what a dumbass that Pondwater Davis Wrestling Federation is.
That's true. I think Terry has a good point. It says there's been a gradual disintegration of the usefulness of finishers for decades. And that is very true because you're right. There used to be a time when Jake the Snake put the DDT on you. You were not getting up. Like it was over. You were trying to avoid that because your match was over. And now, like you said, we do see.
Now you do a DDT and go to the top rope.
Exactly. Well, or anybody's. There is no finisher that is. I don't even know why they call them a finisher anymore because it's their people. Everybody kick out, and it's just kind of. I don't know. I don't know if we need to. I mean, we might want to move on because we could seriously.
We are, and we were going to talk about Eric Bischoff and Tony Khan's Twitter war, but we're gonna gloss past that now. I think we've already touched on their Twitter war enough. Let's talk about something that's happened this week. I want to, and it's been going on for a while. And as internet fans, we got to be better. The virtuoso Deonna Purrazzo had apparently had posted a picture in a bathing suit. Let's right off the bat, she's 5-time women's champion. She's a tremendous performer. She's been she spent time in Impact. I'm trying to remember, did she go through NXT?
I don't feel like she has.
I don't know if she did. I know she's been in Impact. Now she's in AEW. She was on the Wrestling Showcase. Mm-hmm. I met her at the Wrestling Showcase. Just a really nice person. But she put a picture up, and wrestling fans feel like I just don't understand why, if you don't like something, that you have to attack it. Like in the wrestling belt community, somebody would get a new belt and they'd be excited about it. And, somebody that's been around for 25 years in the wrestling belt collecting might look at that belt and it may be a piece of crap. But to that person, that's their first belt, man. They bought what they could afford. They got what they wanted, and they love it. So instead of just saying, hey, good for you, man, I'm glad that you got what you wanted. If you like it, tell them what you like. And if you don't like it, don't comment. Right. But why shit on it? Because but we've become a society of people that feel like they need to shit on things. So Deandra posted this picture at some point, and she posted that, and somebody said that her ass is too big. And so I think somebody tagged her, and then she posted it, and then she said, if you're not watching, she said, "Oh, I've already seen it. I had a cry and realized my worth is not determined by one my body. 2, others' perceptions of me. I am a 5-time world champion. I have worked in nearly every major company in the world. I am one of the greatest wrestlers in the world. Furthermore, I just earned my bachelor's degree. I am looking to start a master's program. And most importantly, I have a husband who thinks I'm beautiful, whether I'm a size S or M. And in parentheses, I've never, ever been a size S. They are entitled to their opinion, and I'm entitled to tell them to kiss this fat ass. Now, there's a reason that Twitter doesn't have a dislike button. There's a reason that Facebook doesn't have a dislike button. And you can imagine that the way that attitudes are, most people would wear those out. This is female wrestlers post pictures like this. I wouldn't even know how to comment on this picture. I mean, personally, I don't have a problem with the picture. I think, and I say this because, and the only reason I'm commenting on this is because I have an issue with the body shaming. Click like. Just click like. Because even if you tell her she's beautiful, you can go too far with it and be creepy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how to give a compliment anymore in today's society, and especially being a referee in the wrestling business. When I have to referee a ladies match, I go in, I find out what I need to know, and I get away from them because I don't want to be perceived as a creep. It's too easy.
It's also too late.
And I'm just saying, but let me tell y'all something about me, because I'm 58 years old, and today is my daughter's birthday, my firstborn daughter's birthday, and she's 37 years old. And the good Lord played a trick on me, because in my 20s I couldn't wait to grow up and be a dirty old man. But he gave me 2 beautiful daughters. And as they get older, that bar raises. But what I'm saying is that she posted that. She shared that picture. She's not the only one. Chelsea Green shares pictures. They promote their social medias, which is fine. But don't critique the picture. Click like, or don't click like. But you don't have to say, "Oh, your ass is too big for this." You don't have to point out. You don't have to point out the imperfections. It's why, man? Why do it? And it's normally from an account that doesn't even have a real picture.
Hey,
I don't know who said this to her, but I guarantee you his avatar is probably Spider-Man. He probably got a picture of Spider-Man on his profile picture. He hasn't had vagina since vagina had him, and there's a pretty good chance that he was a C-section baby.
He's sitting in his mom's basement spanking it to that ass after he comments on it, because that's what happens.
Probably.
That's what people do.
But he decided he would say something ugly about her to pop his 2 followers.
Yep.
He probably got 6 followers, but 4 are bots. You know the 4 are
Right.
bots.
But listen, body shaming has gone on way before the internet.
But Mike Tyson said it best, Amy. The internet gave people the power to forget that they could still get punched in the mouth for the things they say and do.
Oh, that's probably true.
And all of a sudden, you got this courage from these genuine jackoffs that think it's okay to body shame these people. The guy that made the comment about her ass, okay, she probably, I just lost my train of thought as to what I was going to say, but I would imagine, ass or not, she outworks him. And she's, he's sitting in his mom's basement or whatever, or single because he doesn't know how to speak to people, and that's pretty apparent. The only body shaming I'm going to do on this show is to say that CJ Perry does not need to show that infected ass finger. That was so gross.
Yeah.
And I can't believe she posted that stuff on her Instagram account where she's like vomiting off the bed. But in all seriousness, I don't get it. I'm like Dave. If I don't like something, I keep on scrolling. And if I have to accidentally keep seeing you, there's a mute button. And if it gets really bad, we hit the block. So,
Definitely.
you
I
I
can
mean,
be
if you
such a
feel like,
be such a better person by just not saying shit. That's all
I
you
Oh,
mean,
gotta
I
do.
agree. You
and
know
I'm
how
not saying that, and I'm not saying that you see a picture and you might say something to your buddies in private, but
I'll say it on this show. I'm fine with their ass.
hey,
And it's
I
not
mean,
even my brand.
but
What's
I mean,
wrong with
I've
you?
seen content. I've seen
Suck
content for the
in your
sole
bread.
purposes to tear down. There's an actress that there's a really popular actress that has had a lot of plastic surgery and she don't even look like herself anymore.
No.
And she was gorgeous before she got started. I mean, and truthfully, on a side note, maybe plastic surgeons probably need to be regulated a little heavier than they are. But you see it with all the female talent. You see it with all the female talent. Oh, she's gotten too many. Where the hell did that thumb come from?
I think it's something.
I don't
Didn't you
know.
have it happen to it before? But
But I
again,
Oh,
love
anyway,
I love what Heather
okay.
Whitley just said because I agree with her. Because as a fat person, I don't need anyone to tell me I'm fat. I'm sure Deanna Perrazzo knows she's got a big ass. Okay, I mean, if that's what you want to call it, if that's what you want to qualify it, I'm sure she knows she's got a rather large posterior. But you know what else that allows her to do? What she does in the wrestling ring. So there are,
right,
she
She's
doesn't need
tiny.
anyone to tell her.
She's tiny anyway.
right.
She's
But
she's what? Shorter than you, isn't she?
Yes,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
and
she's
I'm not disparaging your height. I'm saying
it
she's
is what it
shorter
is.
than you are,
But let me tell you that. And here's I'll make an example. There's one wrestler. There's a woman's wrestler that catches more hate and has more things said bad about her than anybody, and that's Nia Jax.
mhm.
What y'all don't realize is that HD does not do the female wrestlers any favors. The camera
my
the camera adds. Nia Jax does not look as big in person as she looks on television, and kudos to her that she's got herself into tremendous shape now. But I met her a couple years ago. She's tremendous. I mean, she's a beautiful woman. She's an absolute beautiful woman. Such a nice person. Such a nice person.
my problem
She
is she's
catches more
reckless.
shit.
Yeah, she's reckless. I don't care what she looks like. She's reckless.
She is the only person, well, that I can remember, at least for WWE in a long time. They announced her weight when she came down to the ring.
Yeah.
What I was going to try to say earlier is that unfortunately, kind of exactly what Heather said. Number one, unfortunately, people are assholes. That's what they're bullies. I mean, and talking about other people makes them feel better. And so, we just have a society of just things that, um, you know, people think that makes them feel better. Like you said, they'll get a couple likes or whatever. Um, I'm trying to think of the best way to say it. So, unfortunately, though, our society, uh, it really leans hard on beauty. And again, for the female, it is way more um, focused on, regardless of what you're doing, and where of your job or whatever. Athletes obviously are going to have a lot harder time, but you look at when we moved into the diva era, and we start having bra and panty matches, and the whole point of the woman was to be tall and gorgeous, big tittied. That was, and like you said, that was a requirement. They were going to,
Athletic tens.
well, and they were going to catalogs and finding people. And so,
Oh yeah, they brought Amy Weber in, the whiskey girl from Toby Keith's Whiskey Girl video. Candice Michelle, the GoDaddy girl.
yes.
Sable.
But
Sable.
yeah,
Sable was the guest jeans model.
yeah, she was just married to someone. She didn't even but we also fostered a community of people that were allowed to say things, and at the women. I mean, ECW is was horrific to the women on the shows. I mean, the things that they were saying and that kind of, I'm just saying that I feel like people got found in groups that it was okay to act like that. You know what I'm saying? And you're right. Women are definitely critiqued on a whole different level. Piper Niven's definitely one of those, I think, who's very athletic. Again, you're not going to sit here and we're not going to say all that stuff about Otis. And we're not going to, body shame him uh, but I do know it happens because, again, I hate to bring up Dax again. Dax went through a whole body issue because they are running around in their underwear in a sense. And there are definitely better bodies, and they hear about it through the keyboard warriors that we talk about. Uh, I feel like the internet, and exactly, people say they get behind the screen and they say all this stuff, and there's no consequences. Like they don't have to see Deonna Purrazzo tearing up because of what some asshole said, and she shouldn't. But just like I told her, I did message. We're not besties or anything. I'm just saying, even the best self-esteem, that shit hurts,
Yeah.
And so, and then for just, you can imagine someone who is out. The comments came, which I'm sure she gets all kinds of comments, but the comments came that she was tagged in were from AEW's Instagram. So AEW's just posting pictures of her coming out to the ring and people were making comments. So it's not even like she put out a sexy picture of herself and and people were saying, whatever. It was just her basically going to work. And so um like I said, we've kind of allowed these keyboard warriors to just feel like they can say whatever, and they say shit about. Again, how many times have we heard or seen people want to say that Tony Khan's a cokehead? That's pretty derogatory
Yes.
to say someone is doing. I mean,
I'm
And-
guilty. I call him the
Hey, and I'm gonna
Adderall
tell you-
astronaut.
And let me
I
tell
do it-
y'all,
I do it in the group chat most of the
hey,
time.
and I'm gonna tell you, I'm not claiming to be a choir boy and say that
no,
I've
no,
never
I'm
made
not.
the-
I'm not
and
either.
I'm not saying that I've never made a disparaging comment about somebody. There's a difference between in a private setting. I'm not saying it makes it any better, but you damn sure don't go do it in a public forum.
No, I
on
do
social
understand.
media where you actually saying something stupid is one thing, but when you go to the trouble to type something stupid, that's a completely different level of douchebaggery.
Yes. No, I totally agree. And I don't mean it like that. I mean, I'm just saying that it is definitely the women. We've been dealing with that probably our whole entire lives, but it is the men too. And I mean, again, people just get a pass of just saying some of the things that they say, and it's very hurtful. It and so if and I totally agree. If you don't like something, if you don't like Donald Trump, if you don't like Joe Biden, people love to argue their point. People love to do all kinds of stuff. And you're right. If we would
Yes.
just be kind, seriously.
Just think before you type.
But you know what? And this is another thing. For whatever reason, you may think whatever. Oh, I don't like that on her. But like, that is not my natural thought when I look at someone, is to pick them
Mhm.
apart. You know what
Well,
I'm
I mean,
saying?
yeah,
And that's
but
what these people do. Like, their first instinct, for whatever reason, because they're more talented, maybe they are living the dream, living the life that they wish they had. The first thing they do is pick them apart. And I don't look at people like that. Like, I don't sit here and look at you two and and like, that doesn't even in my head. And unfortunately, it's in a lot of people's head. Like, that is the first thing they do, is tear people down because they've got something they want, or there's something not fulfilled in their own life. That's just my thought. So
yeah, some of it has to do with age. I mean, you know how you check you check your memories on Facebook, and it'll show you what you posted 15 years ago or 12 years ago. sometimes I'll see something that I post like, oh, that's not good, and I'll delete it. And then,
Amen, Dave. I've done that.
Definitely.
I've done
and
Well-
that.
I'll give you a case in point. Jennifer Nettles from Sugarland. She showed up on the CMAs one night, and it looked like that she had made a purchase. She was enhanced, and I'm like, oh, she got something, and she's proud of them. That didn't age well. I mean, I realized, and that's one of the ones that, and that a couple years ago I got rid of that one, and but I mean, Trish Stratus and Stacy Keibler and Tori Wilson, but I never picked any of them apart. I can't ever remember a time when I said something online to pick somebody's appearance apart, just because you don't do that. You don't say something that you wouldn't say to their face.
You shouldn't. That is not
shouldn't.
how things work. Because people, like you said, Andrew, earlier, people are a lot braver because there isn't that instant reaction of seeing how
But
the
if you're
person
friends, if you're a friend of mine, you've heard me say in private, you've heard me, and most of the time, been just trying to get a reaction out of somebody.
Yeah,
but
we've
I
heard you
mean-
say some crazy shit. I know. Whew,
But I mean, it's always been,
That's why we have candles.
girl.
yeah. So, I mean, I'm not coming off holier than thou. I'm just saying, let's calm it down online. Be better people.
No, I agree. And you know what?
Don't
though,
make them
too?
sorry. Don't make somebody sorry for posting
you
something
do.
like that. And I mean, I don't know I don't even know the genesis of that picture, but I mean, I've seen worse, and we've become, the wrestling programs have been better about how they feature the women.
Mhm.
They don't, WWE quit shooting their crotches on pinfalls a long time ago. AEW wasn't good about that in the beginning, but the AEW doesn't shoot their crotches anymore.
You know
Shows
what?
you how much I pay attention to women's wrestling, where the crotches are located. Damn, Dave. I just learned something tonight.
You didn't know that's where the woman's crotch was located?
I didn't know they were shooting them.
Oh,
That's how much I was paying attention
Well,
to
no,
them.
I'm just saying that, and
Thank you
that's
for
the hell of
stepping
it
on
is
my joke, Amy. Thank you.
and that's the hell
Thank
of it
you,
is
Amy.
that you think that I would like, yeah, that's the way you shoot wrestling. No, I mean, it made me uncomfortable. Don't shoot that,
Mhm.
And the biggest thing is people need to take that step back and say, why do you think you're so important that you feel like you need to give a critique of this person? And I think that's another thing. People, they just are not, I don't want to say they're not kind, but it's just like, again, people think way too much of themselves, right? Like,
Yeah,
why
like-
do I
like
think
Deanna-
I should
like-
go
like-
on and critique Deanna Perez?
Deanna Peraza.
Oh, yeah, Peraza, I'm sorry.
She's
Like,
not sitting on there reading the replies to her picture, waiting to see what Harry Knuckles 873 has to say about her.
Right. But what's really sad is that when she goes to look at the pictures AEW posted about her, her first match, and those are some of the shitty comments. I mean, that does suck.
Look
That
at Sky
sucks
Blue.
for her.
Look at Sky Blue.
You talk about instantly objectified.
Oh, her butt.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And let's go outside the scope of wrestling. Lainey Wilson.
Oh,
Wilson, and she leaned into it. She said, "Hey, if looking at my big old butt makes y'all listen to my music, then
Right.
then have a look." But
I know you all find this shocking, male or female. I'm an ass man, so it's okay with me. Hashtag not completely straight, since that awful Justin Davis isn't here. But I mean, I don't see anything wrong with it. Whatever, do your thing. Don't bother me.
And again, I don't think anybody's perfect. And just like you said, if you don't look back at a tweet you made 10, 15 years ago, and in some instance have grown and realized that wasn't the best thing to do, then that's a problem. I mean, you have to be able to grow. We cannot, that's a whole nother thing. We cannot look at someone's tweet from 2010 or Facebook or whatever and hang them now in 2014. If you know what I mean? We have to give grace, and people don't do that either. But that's a whole nother thing. Allison, never stop raising your hand.
Never, no. And I'll
Never.
piggyback on your point real quick, Amy, and I'll talk about myself. I used to have a serious drinking problem. I haven't had a drink in almost 6 years. Alcohol, you guys know that, and I've been very open about it. But if you all had met me 8 years ago, we wouldn't be friends more than likely. You know why I know that? Because I fucking hated me. So that's what, talking about what you're saying, Dave. I see the Facebook memories, and like you, where you get the delete option, that thing goes away. I just hit the delete button and don't ever want to think about it, because you learn as we get older, I guess, that people do have feelings and their feelings matter.
Yes.
And like we're talking about being kind to people. I can be, that dickhead, but remember, I'm your dickhead. And that's what I tell my friends, because I will defend you to the death. And some of you have seen that, some of you haven't yet, but it does happen, because when you're on my team, you're on my team. And because I chose you. And that's the thing that people don't understand, is we still all have to have each other. Even the guy in the basement criticizing Deanna Perrazzo's picture, that's probably a lonely, sad existence, and he could meet some people and maybe have a better life. So there's hope for all of us. That's what I'm getting at. There's hope for everybody. I can be fun and off color and all that stuff, but the bottom line is, I have friends, you guys included, that are closer to me than a lot of family members. So at the end of the day, maybe we should be a little more kind and treat each other. And pray for me, Amy. Light my candles. Always.
Candles lit.
Always.
Agree.
How
So
about
you
playing
wanna-
some trivia, y'all?
Yeah, because I just got
yeah.
serious. And that's not cool.
Question number 1: Who had the best? No, I'm just kidding.
Starkey baby in those trunks. Who said that?
All right, on to trivia. So, as you all know, January is Royal Rumble season. And if you know me, you know that's my favorite pay-per-view, PLE, whatever it is, premium live event, pay-per-view, whatever you want to call it.
I wanted to point this out to you last week, Amy, but even I'm this old. I still call them pay-per-views, even if it is premium line event.
I'm really I'm trying to be, PLEs, but it gets all tangled up. I actually was able to be in attendance in a suite life from FFP at the Royal Rumble 2022. And so that is what we are going to be doing some trivia on. That was in St. Louis, Missouri. Previous before the Royal Rumble, Eric and Jeff had kind of like a little meet and greet beforehand, and that Ad Free Shows put on a little questionnaire thing, and that was very fun.
Didn't everybody notice that you low key bragged about sitting in a suite
at the Royal Rumble?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to tell you all exactly. It's very hard to go back to regular seats once you've been in a suite. And FFP, which is another group that has a podcast, they do suites. They're actually doing one for this year's Royal Rumble. Allison Faye's going to be in there. It's just really hard to go back to going back out into the other seats, because you have your own bathroom, you have food, you have drinks, you're all moving around. I mean, it's a really good party atmosphere. I recommend that if you can get it. I recommend,
and a fun group of people, the ones you mentioned specifically.
Oh, definitely. Well, and that's what's really great, because again, it's like you're watching like if you were going to a friend's house watching a pay-per-view, but you're actually at the pay-per-view, because there's a bathroom, there's food, there's drinks, everybody's talking, there's plenty of room to move around. So anyway, that's a little plug for them. Keep watching them. They do suites at different pay-per-views, and like I said, they're really fun. Okay. First question. How many matches, excluding the men's and women's Royal Rumble matches, were actually on the card? So, matches besides the Royal Rumbles, basically. Were there 3, 4, 5, or 6?
I'm going to go B4, and I'm with Efren.
I'm going to go C5.
If you blow up the bathroom in a suite and you open the door, I mean, there ain't no hiding it was you.
Well, okay, yes, that is very true. But don't do that in the bathroom in the suite. you can pee, right? Pee in the suite
You
bathroom.
can.
As much
Go-
water as I drink, I promise you I will. But I'm going with C, 5.
It was actually 4.
Nice.
So B is the correct answer. They had a mixed tag, which was between Edge and Beth Phoenix and Miz and Maurice. And then they had their Raw Women's Championship was up for grabs, and both the Raw title and the SmackDown title. So the Universal title and the WWE Championship were both up for grabs.
Was
So
this
those
the
were-
Kevin Owens Roman Reigns?
No. Well,
Well, maybe. Go ahead. Sorry. Never mind. It might be a question. Move on.
no.
I'm an
I don't
idiot.
think it. No, I don't think it was. I have to think about that now.
She can remember the suite. She can't remember the matches.
Maybe. All right, next question. How many men were able to stay in the Royal Rumble match longer than 12 minutes? Was it 5, 7, 9, or 11?
And if you're a man
Oh.
that would like to last longer than 12 minutes in the Royal Rumble, I would like to suggest that you use Blue Chew. Oh, wait, they don't sponsor us
When
yet.
they become an official sponsor. No.
Because you'll outperform both Ric Flair and Rey Mysterio, lasting that full 60 minutes.
Woo!
And I'm going with 5. A.
I'm going to go with 9.
If you go in the middle at 7, sorry, 7, you would be correct. So it's B.
I suck
So
at this.
Well, the men that stayed longer than 12 minutes was Sheamus, Ridge Holland, Drew McIntyre, Matt Riddle, Dolph Ziggler, Austin Theory, and AJ Styles. So there were 7 of them that lasted longer than 12 minutes. Number 3. Who had the most eliminations during the Men's Royal Rumble match? Was it AJ Styles, Brock Lesnar, Omos, or Otis?
What did you call him?
Otis?
Oh, tits. That's what I
Otis.
heard.
That's what I heard too. How did you mess up a 4-letter name?
I did. I
Male
was saying
brain going to the-
Omos and Otis.
Going to the
Who had the
tits.
most eliminations during the Men's Royal
I
Rumble?
want to say it's Lesnar.
I'm going to
but
say it
you
was
just-
Amy because that
you
bathroom
just-
in the suite seemed really important to her.
Yeah, Lesnar is what I'm saying.
Gosh. You're crazy.
I'm going to go with almost. Almost.
Terry Weaver in the chat is correct. It was actually AJ Styles.
AJ, which would
Look at
make
that little
sense since he
fella
lasted.
overachieving.
Well, Brock Lesnar was second with 5. Omos had 3, and Otis had 1. I was trying to be like Omos, Otis. I was just trying to enunciate,
Yeah,
and y'all think I said tit. So then
that was like
here we go.
I overthought that one. Go ahead, Amy. Let me go 0 for 4 next.
That's
It's
okay.
like playing trivia with Efren.
Oh no. My questions are a lot easier than Efren's.
Oh, thanks. She just called me a dumbass, everybody.
No, I'm saying that Efren is asking you, what was the 12th stitch line in so-and-so's costume? What is that? So he's got some hard questions. Anyway.
Not the only thing that's hard from what I heard.
Oh, anyway. Next question. Who was the 12th entrant into the Women's Royal Rumble? Was it Sonya Deville, Rhea Ripley, Naomi, or Natalia?
I'm not like Efren at all. Who was the 12th entrant to the Women's Royal Rumble? All right, Rain Man. Give me Sonya Deville this time.
I'm going to say it was Natalia.
Who are you going to say, Andrew?
I said, give me Sonya Deville. Give me
Oh,
Sonya Deville this time.
Sonya Deville. It was actually Natalia. Very good.
Imagine that. See, I got another one wrong. To think I actually work on podcasts too, wrestling.
Hey,
ones.
you know just as much as I do, there are definitely people out there that know. There you go. Sorry, I touched a button. Myself.
I think she was paying me a compliment, but I don't know because her audio cut out.
Sorry.
This is what being friends with Amy is about, guys.
Oh, you know I love you.
I know.
All
you
right.
do.
In the Women's Royal Rumble, how many Hall of Famers were entrants? 4, 5, 6, or 7? So
I like
these
6.
entrants, you want 6?
I want 6.
I'm
And
going
you want
4.
4? Go in the middle because there were 5. It was Ivory, Brie and Nikki Bella, Lita, and Molly Holly. Now, Mickie James was also in it, but obviously she's not a Hall of Famer, but she was from Impact at that point.
So you're saying it was 6?
No, I'm saying it was 5 Hall of Fame.
Should have been 6.
Like, she should be in the Hall of Fame. I agree, but at this point, they had not done that. So,
This she'll get there.
okay, this is a fill in the blank. Who are the 2 celebrities that were entrants in the Men's Royal Rumble? Okay, this is 2022. One was eliminated by Sami Zayn, and the other was eliminated by Brock Lesnar.
Johnny
One of them was Johnny
Knoxville?
Knoxville.
Johnny
Johnny
Knoxville is
Knoxville.
definitely one. He was eliminated by Sami Zayn.
Who's the boxer? Tyson Fury.
He is not a boxer.
Hmm.
He's a singer. He did
Bad Bunny.
It was Bad Bunny. Very good.
Oh, okay.
So those were really the only 2 that were not. Those were the only 2 entrants. These 2 celebrities that were not either a Raw or SmackDown person. They had no Hall of Famers or anybody like that.
No one asked, but I'll say it anyway. Bad Bunny actually puts on pretty good matches.
Yes.
Yes. Hello.
Yes.
Bad Bunny and Logan Paul. We could have that conversation too.
Mhm.
Impressive.
Logan
Especially-
Paul's current United States heavyweight champion.
Yeah,
Exactly,
especially
as
for
he
never
should be.
being trained, if you want to say it that way. You know, I mean, I know he worked with Damian Priest and all that, but not being a professional wrestler and being a musician, he's very much carried himself. And Logan Paul is just an idiot savant for wrestling. I don't think I can say that anymore, but you know what I mean. He's just a natural. Picks
He
it up.
is.
All the
Speaking of
tendencies.
Damian Priest, I think Swerve needs to move away from that look that he had last night because it made me immediately think Damian Priest.
Really? How come? I mean, I understand the eye makeup, but
The eye
what?
makeup.
That was it? Really? I mean,
Said he looks like Damian Priest. There needs to be somebody that recognizes when you're doing something that's on the other channel.
yes. I guess that's true.
Too much of it, yeah.
I'm told that Dana Brooks doing the Tony Storm gimmick on T&A. I don't know. I hadn't seen it
Well,
to
but
make
you
that.
know, I mean, I get it, but damn, there's only so much you can do. She's a beautiful woman, blonde woman with red lipstick. Tony, yes, it's very similar, but I mean, everything's not black and white when she comes out. I mean, everybody needs to give them a chance. You know, just goodness gracious.
Everything in wrestling is stolen from somebody else.
Exactly. Who
No
are we talking about?
originality.
Stealing a frog splash. That last week, right?
Yeah.
With
Nightmare said that Fury
you cannot steal a
Fury's
frog
ready
splash.
to Fury wants some time on the show to go back after these guys that are hating on him so bad.
They need to. It was funny because Ray put out, just a side note, Ray put out something on Facebook, and whoever he wrestled this past weekend,
Stevie
was-
Hendricks.
Stevie Hendricks.
Stevie Hendricks.
Okay. Well, he was beating him up, and Vladimir's like, I like him. And I was like, negative, Vladimir. Don't be messing with Ray Fury. So,
Hey, are
and
you
he
about
didn't like
ready?
me saying that.
We haven't announced it on this show, Amy, and I'd hate for Dave to forget. When are you taking the cannonball so we can all look forward to that?
February 10th.
Oof, that a boy.
Ocean Springs, Mississippi.
You got your will and testament taken care of?
And he's ready. Oh, man.
Yeah,
Vladimir,
Stephanie
he's
gets everything.
excited.
I'll say going to leave the palatial estate to Teppy,
She gets it all.
including Sorensen.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. The child she never wanted or knew she did anyway.
She took him shopping on Black Friday. That's love.
That is serious love.
I mean, he's a total dick for wanting to go shopping on Black Friday, but she was a trooper to do it.
Hmm.
So did Stephanie want to go, or what are you talking?
No,
Because
Stephanie's smart enough to not go to a mall on Black Friday.
Well,
oh,
Cyber
okay.
Monday, Amy, we just sit in our undies and order the shit online. If you
Well,
have an
I just wanted.
Amazon app, stuff's already in the shopping cart. That's
Well, I
called
just
being a
wanted to.
professional, which is
Well,
why my Christmas present to you was on time. You're welcome.
Hey, we
What?
mailed. I finally got around to mailing y'all's. No, Steph had them. Steph had them, and then she finally brought them back. And I thought like a week later she didn't. She goes, "Hey, I need you to go mail these." And I said, "You didn't send them?" And she said, "No." So then I
Like a
put them
New
in my
Year's
truck. I
present.
put them in my truck a week ago, and then I saw them today, so I took them to the post office.
They're gonna be for Valentine's Day at this point. No, because you break if a gentleman wants to come with you shopping on Black Friday, you let them because they're gonna go stand in line and you're gonna go shop because that line gets really bad, or they're gonna hold the bags. So like
I
I
need
just
you,
thought,
I need you to rethink that and rethink who you're talking about. And it went the opposite way. Steph's
yes,
holding the place in line and the bags, and Sorensen's looking for whatever rare action figure or belt that he can put on an Apple Card somewhere.
right. Well, that's
That's
the
how
reason
that
why
works.
I was wondering if Stephanie was wanting to go or she was going and he just went. So anyway,
I was at work, and she entertained him.
oh, that's very true. I did know that. All
Thank you,
right.
Tippy. I got it right. See, not
And we're not
trivia, but I
bagging on.
got
And
that
we're not.
one
I mean,
right.
it kind of sounds like we're bagging on him a little bit, but we're not really bagging on him.
Well, I am.
No,
Speak for yourself.
Andrew.
Look,
Next
he
question.
claimed to be a Nebraska Cornhusker fan, and he don't know jack shit about Nebraska. Me and Sorensen are going to have an off-air discussion on this. Go ahead.
Well, you've got to remember he's like 22, so I mean his history may not start when your history starts.
Honey, he
He
ain't been
knows. He knows
22 for the
Japan,
five.
motherfucker.
He ain't been 22 for the 5 years that we've known him. So do I, but I don't infringe on somebody's franchise, and that would be Sorensen has the monopoly on all things Japan. So
Yes.
I can't encroach on that.
No, I agree. All righty, next question. Who was the 12th person eliminated
Oh,
from
for
the Men's
fuck's
Royal
sake.
Rumble? Rick Boogs.
Boggs.
Boggs. Rick Boggs. Oh yeah, Rick Boggs.
Could have been Boggs, wasn't it?
I
It's
thought
not
it was
yeah.
Boogs.
I think it is
I don't know.
Boogs. Rick
He did
Boogs.
an interview.
He's not there no more anyway. So Ridge Holland, Madcap Moss, or Happy Corbin.
Ridge Holland ain't there either.
I thought Madcap Moss and Ridge Holland were the same person.
Give me happy Corbin.
Oh my god, that made me laugh.
Efren with.
Oh
Yeah.
y'all. Stop.
Bingo.
It was Ridge Holland.
I didn't guess. I was
And-
gonna
Oh.
guess. I was
I
gonna
did.
guess Ridge Holland though. I really was.
You
And
really
Efren is
were, huh?
correct. It'll be truly amazing, or as I like to say, one-sided, because he don't know jack shit. Like me in this trivia.
That's okay.
I have it on good authority that when he found out the first time he went for sushi, he was disappointed because he heard it wrong and it was sushi, not Susie.
Alrighty. That was the 12th person eliminated. How about the 12th person eliminated from the Women's Royal Rumble? Was it Alicia Fox, Natalia, Ivory, or Kelly Kelly? Who was the 12th
Kelly
person?
Kelly ought to be in the Hall of Fame too.
For what reason?
She's a world champion.
Thank you.
So all world champions are going to go into the Hall of Fame?
Well, if you thought they were a world champion, clearly they did good enough. Arn Anderson is in the Hall of Fame. He never won the world title. Jake the Snake's in the Hall of Fame, never won the world title. So just do all the world champions have better ups on them?
I would like to know some more of
Alicia
Kelly
Fox should be in the
Kelly's
Hall of Fame too for her contributions backstage.
Uh-huh.
She's the one that got Arn fired. Do not listen to Dave. Let's go with
Oh, I know.
let's go with no, Kelly Kelly. I want Kelly Kelly on this one.
Me too.
Well, you should have gone with Ivory because that's who got kicked out. The 12th person eliminated.
Kicked out instead of eliminated. We throw her over the top rope or through the middle.
Through the middle.
Vince Russo was a world champion. Okay,
he
so
was
maybe
also-
Kelly's not a Hall of Famer.
He was
Okay.
also the greatest booker ever, bro. Bro, listen. Bro. My friend Allison knows about New Yorkers,
I think
That's
that he
right.
actually coined the phrase "be
Especially-
kind, rewind."
especially short ones. You only rewound so you could record over top of it. That's all. Back in the day, we used VHSs. These kids don't even know what those are.
Wouldn't even know. Yeah, wouldn't even know how to start that. Who stayed in the Royal Rumble for 12 minutes and 13 seconds?
How
Was
the
it-
hell did you come up with that question?
I'm not Efren. I don't ask the hard questions.
I
Yeah,
think
Well,
we've all been. I think we've all been way too hard on Brad Stanton tonight.
Yeah. Somebody else bumped their head today. This is
No,
ridiculous.
what happened?
And give me Brie Bella.
What happened? It just happened this way because I asked Dave and Justin to pick a number, and Dave's number was 12, and so that helped me narrow down my questions for the Royal Rumble because I was like, okay, well, let me see who lasted longer than 12 minutes and who did this and that. So that's the reason why you see a lot of the 12s. And it's not, these are not hard questions.
Well,
They
let me
could be
have
hard.
let
Some
me have
people do
Nikki
not.
Ash.
I want Brie Bella, but only as an answer.
And I know that's a superhero.
It is Nikki. Nikki
Hmm.
Ash was in the Royal Rumble for 12 minutes and 13 seconds.
Nikki
We
was in
suck
there for 12
again.
minutes for 13 seconds, and then she got her ash thrown over the top rope.
She did. She sure did. Last but not least, who was the 12th entrant into the Men's Royal Rumble? Omos, Madcap Moss, Dolph Ziggler, or Ricochet?
Ricochet was early in that one.
I don't remember this Rumble much. I think I've only seen it once. Let's go with Ziggler, just because I like him.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Ziggler as well.
Dave, you should have thought Ricochet was early, as in number 12
Well, ain't
into
that
the
a
Royal
bitch?
Rumble.
That's what I'm saying. This is crazy. That somebody was against us, knowing that we were going to do this tonight, Dave, and that somebody was Amy.
No, I'm telling you, there are people that know this kind of stuff. So I thought that was fun going with the 12. Next week, just so you know, Justin picked the number 20. So where does that lead us? You'll never know. You have to show
Okay,
up next week to
So
find out.
you got it, Dave. Who was number 20 for the men's, the women's? Who was eliminated for the men's and the women's?
Did anybody stay in longer than 20?
Who has eliminated 20 people in the Royal Rumble? I will help you study for this test because that was absurd.
Oh, it was not absurd. Now you're talking crazy.
But
No,
no
I usually
questions.
do
No
really well on
questions
your
about
trivia.
Nikki and Brie Bella being 2 10s together make 20, because that would be wrong.
That would be next
And
week.
I want to think that we learned tonight.
That's right. Very good. Very good. Be kind, Pondwater.
I called them both 10s.
I know, that's what I'm saying. That needs to kind of be our mantra. Just be kind. And shut your mouth, right? Be kind, just shut your mouth.
I'm
Don't
going to be
type.
as kind as I possibly can.
It's
except
hard
to the
some
Dallas
days.
Cowboys and Jerry Jones.
I work in the car business. It's hard to be kind and shut my mouth sometimes. It's awful.
I know. Well, and it goes both ways. Those people should keep their mouth shut and be kind to you too, Andrew. So,
Hey.
I know it goes both ways.
And I'll say something really nice about Dak Prescott. Dak said that he wasn't going to throw all these interceptions this season like he did. He was going to cut down. He was going to make it that not throwing interceptions was going to be his thing. And he waited till the postseason to start throwing interceptions. So he did what he said he was going to do.
He didn't lie to anybody because that's not the
Yeah.
He said he was going to try not. He was going okay.
He wasn't going to throw interceptions this year. So he waited
in
till
the season. So he waited
when the
till
season was
mattered.
over and went to the
Waited to the
postseason. Then he
end.
started throwing interceptions again.
So Dave mentioned Tony Romo the other night, and I just make this point. Tony Romo gets a bad rep even from Cowboys fans because he threw so many interceptions. When you
A
look
lot.
at his numbers statistically, he didn't throw a lot of interceptions. He threw
Uh-huh.
interceptions when they mattered. That's what Dak Prescott did. He channeled his inner Tony Romo for this particular playoff.
I gotcha. Okay.
Well, I think the choking. I mean, Tony Romo's notorious for choking.
Well, there's a voodoo doll with Jerry Jones's face on it, and he's not going to. Cowboys won't win another Super Bowl till Jerry dies, and that's because
Where can I
Jimmy.
get that voodoo doll at?
He fired Jimmy. It's at 212 Milford
And I know
Village Drive.
hey, you said it. And I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna tell you that I know that Jimmy Johnson showing up, and that got all my emotions churned back up about that he shouldn't have ever been gone. That Jerry Jones completely screwed the pooch on that. And did you hear Jimmy Johnson at halftime?
Oh yes, that was great.
Man,
You don't
should have
think
gone down there to the locker room and done that.
I'm sure he
you
would've
don't
said
think he got those
different
guys
words.
to run through a wall when he was the head football coach? Please.
Heck yeah.
Please. I mean, he's the guy that coined the phrase, "How about them Cowboys?" I mean, that was Jimmy Johnson.
The asthma field is over there. The asthma field is over there.
It was
Yeah.
a very great. You're right. That was a very. I mean, and it was just. I mean, he didn't talk, but for like 2 or 3 minutes, and I definitely could tell where you would be pumped, after hearing that.
Mm-hmm.
That was very good. Maybe he'll be. You know what? Though I don't want to get too much, but I just saw where they're not going to fire the head coach for McCarthy. Is that his name?
Yeah, they're
Dallas?
keeping him. McCarthy's being retained.
That's why this relationship is going to be bad.
McCarthy won 1 Super Bowl, and he did it with Aaron Rodgers and a stellar defense. The good news for them is he did it from the 6th seed, so 2010. But he
That's
had a
always
pretty
good.
good defense with Clay Matthews and AJ Hawk, led by those 2 guys in the middle.
Be kind, just shut your mouth.
Coming
I mean-
soon to jumpinthepond.com.
That's right. I mean, it works, right? Be kind, or just shut your mouth. Nobody cares. I mean, seriously, nobody cares what you think about her outfit. Just unless you are, Dolce and Gabbana or some, I mean,
What if I
Tommy
care about her?
Hilfiger, someone that has
What-
some kind of credibility.
What if I care about her outfit because she's wearing white after Labor Day, and we just don't do that?
Well, hopefully she's going to have an accessory with her outfit pretty soon.
You think so?
I hope.
Tony Storm's she's pretty popular. Oh,
And hopefully it's made out of leather and gold. And it's a belt like that one that you see me holding in front of my oversized refrigerator. That can't compete with Amy's Sweet. But look at there. BIW knows what it's like to go to big time belts. Battlezone knows what it's like to go to big time belts. They're not sending their champions out to the ring with toy belts with stickers on them. Big Time Belts is producing high quality at low prices for independent promotions all over the country. The PCW Carolina champion, the Pennsylvania Grand champion, they're all using Big Time Belts. The AWA, Alabama Wrestling Association, tag team champions, sport belts from Big Time Belts. The Gulf Coast Championship, everybody's going to Big Time Belts. What if you play fantasy football? Would you rather have a trophy? Would you rather make somebody do something embarrassing? Or would you rather have a belt like the one that's on the screen right now? Man, I would pay somebody to teach me how to play fantasy football to win a belt like that. Get one for your team, your grandkids' team, your kids' teams. When they do something good, they have the sideline belts or the dugout belts. Your favorite sports team. This guy got the Vegas Golden Knights, bless his heart, or the Mississippi Seawolves. They use Big Time Belts. And we use Big Time Belts. Go to facebook.com, look up Big Time Belts, join the group, and we will get you equipped to look like the champion that you are. And we thank Big Time Belts for their sponsorship of this program.
sorry about that.
Andrew, tell everybody where they can find you. So if you want to find me on Twitter, that's where all the fun is. It's at 30-year fan. Also the co-host of the T&A Top 10, soon to be the T&A Pod. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. All of the stuff that you see on my social media is for my entertainment. So don't take anything you see personally because it's not directed at you.
We can't thank you enough for joining us tonight, Andrew. It's always fun when you come around,
Definitely.
sharing your hot sports opinions.
Well, I do like to have a good time. I haven't ribbed you lately about WCCW, and we managed until right now to not even bring it up. But you guys, this has been a really fun show to watch. Terry and I talked about it because we have our own goals. Watching from the genesis of this show, I've never missed an episode, and I've been on several, which again I appreciate. I appreciate you guys' trust in me to help you out with that. But I love the interviews. You guys ask great questions. The segments are fun. And it's fun to learn about these guys. So anybody who is listening to this for the first or second time, my crazy ass isn't here all the time. So you'll get Justin Davis. He's awful, but that's my opinion and his nickname. So anyway, these guys, Amy, Dave, Teppy, Justin, do a fantastic job finding guests. Bringing people who you haven't heard 900 times the same stories over and over and over again on the pod, people they know. So we really do have a good time every week. Get to watch it live on YouTube, get to participate. So again, I love it, appreciate it. And we're going to steal a bunch of your stuff in season 2 of our podcast. So I'm just letting you know up front, we're going to do it. And that's all there is to it.
Well, have at it. We appreciate you so much. We appreciate our listeners. We appreciate the people that are with us in our group chat and the live studio audience. Thank y'all for being here tonight. Next week, professional wrestling referee Derek Sabato will be joining us. Derek Sabato also does a lot of research. I think he does research for Chris Van Vliet, does a lot of research for Conrad Thompson. And I worked with him at Ric Flair's last match. We're looking forward to having him on next week. The week after that, we are going to have former BIW World Heavyweight Southern Heavyweight Champion Angel Camacho.
Yep.
You're bringing on the man that left blisters on your chest?
Yes.
I cannot wait for this episode. I've got lots of questions. Amy, I will be emailing you.
Gotcha. I can't wait to see Angel.
Well, we might tag you in that week because Justin never comes to work anymore.
He's got a job playing basketball. I thought we had a really great game. I thought you were a ref. I am. What about the kids? Oh, fuck them. Fuck those kids. I'm like, what's wrong with you? Oh, that's why he's awful, Justin Davis. So you're all aware.
We've got a lot of really great guests upcoming.
I'm really excited about Angel because I want to hear him tell Dave stories. And definitely. I know he's got them. I know he's got Ref Dave stories. The ones that we don't know.
Definitely.
And then on February the 13th.
Uh-oh.
Should I push that one out for that far?
Yeah, go ahead.
On February 13th, we're going to have NWA superstar Adam Jacobs is going to join the show.
Nice.
I managed Adam at the Top Guy Tussle. He was one of my dudes.
And you all just validated everything I said about the endorsement of this show. Look at these guests coming up. It's going to be awesome.
Exactly. We do. We have a lot of we love talking to the ones that are out there that are moving and shaking. We've got some great guests.
And in March we'll have the current BIW Southern champion Bam Bam Malone's going to join us.
Yep. And fingers crossed.
What are you taking from him, and how many subscribers do I need to rally?
Which one?
Bam Bam. That just sounds like a badass. What move are you taking, Dave, and how many subscribers?
We could do another chop or two. Angel has a few different variations. He could,
Well, I'm doing the Camacho bomb for 500. So,
ooh, is that like a Vader bomb? Just so I get the idea.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a shoot 450, not a working 450.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a shoot 160.
Yeah. Do you still have that will and testament? You need to get it updated.
That's
gets
true.
Everything.
Hey, it could be official on here. I, Pondwater Dave, being of sound mind, which is questionable, and broken body, which is obvious. Do leave all my worldly possessions to my loving wife, Teppy.
Oh,
There you go. We got it forever now.
Oh, Mark Dodge jumped in.
hey, Mark.
Mark
Yes.
Dodd said Adam Jacobs, one half of Bad Company and the new Primetime Wrestling Tag Team Champions. And if I'm not mistaken, that's y'all's first tag team champions. Y'all just crowned them this weekend, right?
Yeah. And yes, they did. They had a tournament, and that was this past weekend. Adam won that with his tag team partner. So yeah, I'm excited. Adam's been doing some great stuff. I'm really excited to see him.
And we're going to have to reach out to Tommy Hillard and get him on the show.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's going to be fun. You
That's
guys got
right.
a lot of stuff coming up. It's going to work out.
There's one that I'm really excited about, but I asked Pondwater if he would call because I'd be nervous to call, and I don't get like that.
Hey, I understand that. I understand that. And then while I'm passing old man knowledge off to everybody, just remember that you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
I know.
Amen.
That's why I encourage him to do them all.
Last week I mentioned a wrestling legend, and somebody slipped into my DMs and gave me that legend's phone number and encouraged me to give them a call, try to get them on the show. And they don't want to come on the show because they're writing a book.
But they'll come on when they write the book. They can come on and tell us about it.
I told them, and I understand the reasons. But I got to spend 15 minutes. I got to spend 15 minutes on the phone, and it was such a delightful conversation. Just, one of the nicest people I've ever talked to. And it was, just getting to visit with them. And maybe one day they'll change their mind and come on.
Exactly. If anybody out there has Dax or Cash or Tully's phone number, I have Arn's. I don't really need it. I'll be more than happy to take that off your hands.
Yeah, somebody is going to be really excited in the coming week. She's getting a one-on-one Zoom with Arn. So, amen. You're welcome again.
Hey, it'd be all right if you got Arn to come on the show.
We could. Yeah.
I would love to have Brock on.
I know a guy.
Do you know a guy? I would love to have Brock on.
I know a guy who knows a guy.
Yeah, I think I know that guy too.
Well, you know and I know.
But maybe, I would love to have Brock on.
They love Brock. And for him, that would be the better play, honestly.
Well, again, we do independent. That's what Brock is needing to get those reps. He's been out there doing that kind of stuff. So I think
I'd love to have Brock on. I would love to have Brock on.
I didn't mean it like that, but
no, I'd probably be more comfortable talking to Brock than I would Arn.
Arn, he's a big
Brock's already had a pretty interesting career just from his AEW run, tag teaming with Pillman Jr.
He's doing War Games this coming weekend in Winston-Salem.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing an iteration of the War Games. Get this, Dave. George South and Ricky Morton are on the other team, and it's him and
South.
George South. I swear to God, I'm not making this up.
No, I'm sure. I'm no doubt. I'm just like,
because Arn's going to sign his books at the event, and then it's George South and Ricky Morton and a couple of others. And it's Brock and C.W. Anderson teaming with Devon's kids, Terrence and they're going to be together.
Right?
Yep. It's going to be 5-on-5. Arn is on the Anderson side, of course, and one of the Insane Clown Posse is going to be the coach for the other team. And I can't remember if it's Jay or Violent J, or I think it's Violent J. It's definitely Violent J.
That's the only one I know.
Violent J, not Shaggy Tudo. Violent J is, and the real Juggalos know, Amy. You should be ashamed of yourself.
I did not. Yes, I'm very apologetic.
To
all our Juggalo fans.
Violent J is going to be in the corner of the opposing, so it's a lot of fun. But yeah, that would be your better bet if you just want the advice of the research guy.
Well, Mark, you need to keep me posted on that if you have Brock join you at Primetime Wrestling, because that would be kind of fun to see. I hope you do drive up to see that match. Are you going, Andrew?
I am not. I have to work, and Winston-Salem's about 2.5 or 3 hours from my house. So
don't you hate that damn work? Jesus, it gets in my way too.
Gets in the way. It gets in the way of my wrestling fandom.
Me too.
All right, get all your Talking Wrestling with Pondwater Dave merchandise at jumpinthepond.com. You can find me on Twitter at RefSuperDavePWD. You can get if you're listening to the audio version, join us on YouTube, pwdpod.com will take you to our YouTube channel. Please subscribe. We're growing. I'm going to do, if I live through it all, I'll keep doing more crazy stuff till we get to, we want to get to 1,000. We're at 307 at the moment.
Justin and I, we're at 308. We have 308.
We had 308. We're at 307 now. No,
Justin and I.
No, we're back to 308.
Woo. Justin and I would be more than willing to do whatever to help with that, but
I heard he was going to eat mayonnaise, so we really need to get to 500.
Yeah,
he's going to eat mayonnaise, and I'm going to get crushed by a 450-pound wrestler.
That's what I was going to say. Most people like to see Dave get injured, so it's like we offer things, but they're like, no, we don't.
Dave
really
needs to pass.
that.
I got to survive the cannonball because Koloff is way too excited about giving me the cannonball.
For your listeners that don't know, Justin Davis eating mayonnaise is about the equivalent of you taking the cannonball. So this is going to be fantastic.
I think he's going to call in sick.
Tell a friend.
It's got to work.
And so, Andrew, again, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks to our world-class producer, my lovely wife, Tep.
Definitely. All our fans
all
that
she
join
does.
Us.
We appreciate the fans. For Amy Vaughn, for Andrew Hermes, I'm Pondwater Dave, and y'all have a great week, and thank you for joining us, and good night.